11 mother freaking wins in a row. All right. I don't curse on this podcast like John. John and I went up to Reno and I caught him in the bed with the lady of the night. So tonight we got Suns Geek. What's up, man? You're always here to save the day. Anytime John and I are going through some issues, some marital problems, you're here to back us up. So I appreciate it. How you doing tonight, man?
Of course, man. I mean, you guys know me. I'm always down to be on the Suns Jam Session podcast, which if you haven't already, make sure to subscribe to them. Hulk smash the like button for me. And I'm doing great, man. We've won 11 straight, so there's nothing to complain about really. And I'm just excited to talk about this game. What a win, man. 11 straight wins. I'm excited. Let's go.
Yeah, I'm excited too. It was like the first three quarters, sleepwalking through a little bit, kind
Mm-hmm.
of just waiting for the moment. And the moment came a little bit sooner in the fourth tonight, where Chris Paul took over, and the rest was history. I think this is something we can get used to for the Suns. I could definitely get used to it. 11 wins in a row. This is nuts.
Crazy.
Yeah, the Suns are now 12-3, 2 wins in a row against the Mavericks. And the first question I got for you, man, you got a drink, right?
Yes, sir. I got a Pepsi tonight. I feel like I haven't had a Pepsi in a long time. This is not sponsored, by the way, but yeah, I got a Pepsi tonight.
Yeah. Well, that's good because usually John doesn't have diddly squat. He usually just has a water now. He's a changed man. He's trying to be more healthy, I think, and he's on the road, so he's kind of trying to get hydrated. I don't know what the deal is, but tonight, actually, I went to Target and they don't have like the best, options. I don't know
Yeah,
why for beer, so I got a Deschutes
that looks pretty
IPA.
good.
Yeah, you know what? It wasn't. I already had one, so if I'm a little
Yeah.
frisky tonight, that's probably why I just
All
had
right.
one
All
beer.
right.
But man, Suns win again. I just can't believe this. I mean, if they ever lose again, it's just gonna be tragic. But let's go ahead and get this pod started. Jamsters, if you're out there, make sure to subscribe. Follow us at Suns Jam on Twitter. Give us a 5-star review on Apple. I was looking at the reviews. We're at 4.8 right now. So I really appreciate that. I think at one time it was
Nice.
4.3. So we got that raised up a little bit, but make
Good.
sure to leave a review. We'll read it live on the podcast. I know John has the Apple Music. I use Spotify. That's it. That's all I do is use Spotify. So, but if you submit those, we'll read it on the pod. And of course, if you have a beer tonight or anything, pop it open. Let's get drinking. It's Friday night and the Suns won again. So let me go ahead and pop this beer open.
Let's do it.
You pop your Pepsi open. Let's get this started. Suns win 112 to 104. Again, like I said, in the third quarter, kind of seemed a little bit rough. Seemed like a game that might get away. But then, no, just like last game where John asked me, he's like, Matthew, were you worried at all that the Suns team might lose this game? In the third quarter, again, I was like, no, I think they got this. There's just something about them, even if they don't seem like they're pulling it together. They can just play their own game in the fourth. It doesn't matter who they're playing at the time. This Mavericks teams they're scrappy, they're playing hard, and maybe they helped us out too by missing a lot of wide open shots there in the third. When they got the lead to 6, it was maybe a little worrisome. I mean, were you worried at all about this maybe getting away from the Suns in the third?
Maybe if this was the very beginning of the season, yes, I would have been worried. But we've seen this before where the Suns, just like you said at the start of the show, kind of on cruise control and they pick it up. I think we're arguably the most clutch team in the league right now. We've seen a lot of great, brilliant fourth quarter performances from the Phoenix Suns. And they just, this game was kind of evenly matched throughout most of it. A lot of lead changes, and I wasn't really worried. The Suns kept going on all these different runs, and it really showed. And obviously having the home crowd there and the momentum, and obviously trying to keep that winning streak alive, I was not
Yeah.
too worried. And I'm just glad that they were able to get this W and close it out when it mattered.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, I don't think we worry as much. I mean, going through the playoffs in the finals last year, I mean, the tension was always just so high. And I think
Exactly.
after going through that, I think it just kind of lowers our not lowers our expectations, but our nerves and stuff just they simmer down just a little bit. We can sit there with a little bit more ease watching these games because we know Chris Paul, for some reason, every game is just like cruising through this defense. Tonight I learned, I didn't know we talked about his steals last game where he's racking them up. I guess he's a lead leader right now in steals. Is that something that kind of surprised you with Chris Paul? I know his assist numbers are through the roof this year, leading the league in assists. But steals, we noticed it last game, the game before. He's always there. He saves his energy, little spurts on defense to grab those tip balls, and he did it again tonight. The steals for Chris Paul, is that something you were aware of going into this game?
To be honest, I did not know that. I figured he's probably still leading the league in assists, so I think it's probably like
Yeah,
10
he
or
is.
more a game. But yeah,
Like
the assists.
10.3.
But at the same time, or the steals, excuse me, it doesn't surprise me at all because I think it was the Rockets game. Do you remember he had like two different possessions, or I forgot who
Yeah.
was driving on him? He just like swiped it out of their hands,
Yes.
and nobody could get through him. So, and he's always been a great, player to steal the ball. He's been one of the best ever. So it does not surprise me at all. Chris Paul is just, it just seems like he keeps aging like a fine wine, that cliche term, but it's so true of Chris Paul. And he just, when I was talking about the Suns going on runs earlier, he was a big part of that. He just made, he had one shot over Kristaps Porzingis that he just made it look so easy. And Kristaps is a big guy with a long wingspan. I'm like, dude, Chris Paul is just incredible, man.
Yeah, him and Booker, their shot. I mean, they can get over basically everybody. And I noticed last game where they had the slow mo possession of Book, just step by step breaking down this big guy, and he doesn't care about the size that's against him. He's just worried about his motion, worried about where he's stepping with the ball and where he can get the release off. And it doesn't matter who's guarding him because he can get over pretty much anybody. Just a shout out to the Jamsters too. Yeah, Mega Giants 89, sorry, not 99, 89. Same year I was born too. I wasn't
Same here.
worried, and CP3 is the most clutch player in NBA. He is absolutely. It's someone you can trust. It's weird because I don't think I know even the seconds or less Suns the clutch was that was an issue. It was always finishing the game was an issue. So I don't in my lifetime I haven't experienced a more clutch player for the Suns and who's soon to be my favorite point guard for the Suns and probably already is of all time. And I was a huge Nash fan, but right now, like going through the season, he's prepared to do this through the whole season into the playoffs if he doesn't get hurt, and he can be that guy to rely on. And he's soon right behind him. He's a guy that you can trust in the clutch. Like you said, we were talking about before the pod started, how Book hit that corner three
Yep.
and it went in, and you're like, okay, this game's over. The subs came in. And these two guys, Chris Paul and Devin Booker, they shine in the fourth. Even the field goal attempts for Booker was way up. But I mean, you can probably put this game away when he hits that three. And is it different now after this game? I know the field goal attempts for Booker were high, and his efficiency really isn't there yet every game. Is that something that kind of bothers you at all? I mean, it looks like Kobe numbers, Kobe box scores. Kobe would always have those games where he was like 5 for 25, and then the next game, like 11 for 21 or 11 for 25, something like that. So more efficient the next game. But Booker seems to be that player now where he's going to get a lot of field goal attempts now in the first quarter, whether or not they go in, right? Do you like first quarter Book? Do you like all the field goal attempts from what he's jacking up?
Well, for him and Chris Paul, especially Chris Paul, I feel like we've kind of seen Chris Paul come alive in the fourth quarter. Shoot or shoot. And Monty obviously trusts Devin Booker to keep shooting. And obviously we do. He's one of the best Phoenix Suns players of all time.
Yes.
And again, Booker checked in, I think, about the 5-minute mark of that fourth quarter and just took over when it mattered. So I think that goes to show how deep our team is. If Booker is having a rough night shooting, it doesn't matter because we obviously had a much needed bench performance tonight. Cam Johnson, Landry Shamet, JaVale McGee, et cetera, et cetera. But yeah, and I think the Suns are using that to their advantage. If Booker doesn't have it going, maybe Chris Paul will get it going. If Chris Paul's having a really bad shooting night, like I think he did last game or the game before that, but then Chris Paul comes in the fourth and just takes over like he does, I think the Suns are kind of using that as their secret weapon. So let's not tell the other teams that. But yeah, that answers your question. I think it's kind of a weird good thing,
Yeah, it's something that he'll just work out towards the end of the year,
Yeah,
and
he'll pick it up.
The numbers are there, really. We kind of always talk about the All-Star game, but I think he's gonna be a guy that I think makes it this year. But we went too far into the pod. It's already the 10-minute mark, and I gotta
Matthew, I got to ask.
Yeah, so Matthew, I gotta ask you something. So I noticed today in or tonight's game, I'm sure Booker's worn them before, but he had the bubble gum shoes. It was like the pink and the blue
Mhm.
bubblegum looking
Kobe.
shoes. Yeah, they're
Yep.
beautiful. So, I mean, everyone always notices the Mikal yellow. What between the 2, which one are you going for out of those 2 shoes, man? Because I like both of them, but Books look nice. Those are like ones that I would be like, I would rock those for sure. I would rock them.
I think McHale's are the most unique because before the bubble, or it might have been during the bubble, McHale wore the KD13s that were like all blue. And then,
Mhm.
after the bubble, he started wearing the KD13, all yellows. And I mean, it's literally all yellow and they stand out and they kind of low key match the Valley jerseys. But I probably would have to go for a pair of Kobe's. I mean, those things are just nice. You could give me like a worn multiple times pair of Kobe's and they would still be nice. So it's like, give me
Yeah.
those Booker ones, man. Those bubble gum or whatever you call them. Those are so
Yeah.
nice.
No, that's what I just call them because it
Yeah,
looked like
the bubble
bubble gum,
gums.
but they stuck out. They look good. I don't know. I might have to
He
look
wears
those
those
up.
like light purple ones a lot
Mhm.
too.
Yeah, what if the
And yeah.
I forget the name of those ones, but yeah, he's had those ones for a while. Those are actually the ones where he has the "Be Legendary" written
Yep.
on them.
Mhm.
Yeah, yeah, those ones are beautiful too. But transitioning into Mr. Yellow Shoes.
The warden.
And it is yellow, right, Jamsters? Because I always get it confused, yellow and gold. Sometimes I always think like a team is a yellow and like their colors are yellow, but it's actually gold. But I'm pretty sure those shoes
Yeah,
are
gold,
yellow.
yellow. Yeah, yeah. Same thing.
Yeah. But Bridges tonight, we'll talk about Aiden a little bit, but Bridges tonight, um, yeah, perfect. Just
Mhm.
perfect. And I always think like when he is going off and he's doing well, it always seems like Aiton doesn't struggle from the offensive end, but he doesn't get as many touches. So if they have Bridges, locking it down on defense, and then he comes over on the offensive side and he's hitting his threes, 3 for 3 tonight, 7 for 7 total, just 3 assists, 4 rebounds, 19 points overall. Is that something that do you notice that? Like, because what I always notice is Mikhail will go off, and then usually Aiton just doesn't get going. I don't know, Jamsters, if you notice that too. There's just something where, and it doesn't matter. It doesn't bother me at all. I just know that Mikhail can go off once in a while, and still they don't feed him as much. And I know Booker tonight was struggling, and in the first quarter, basically Bridges was just going off, and it's like, how often can you come back to him? Which is not enough. The answer is not enough. I think you got to go to this guy even more. Him and Cameron Johnson were having like a 2-man game kind of thing going on tonight. But Bridges, my thing is always to just keep him as a valuable piece in that offense. And they kind of went away from him. And I think they could have stuck with him more. Do you ever see this offense being more involved around Mikal Bridges?
I'll just say this. I think the Suns would win a lot more games if they did, and if Mikal
Yeah.
Bridges averaged somewhat close to 17 or 20 a game. I know that's wishful thinking, but if I remember correctly, the Suns do win a lot of games when he gets 17 or more a game. And tonight he had 19. And you are right. They did go away from him later in the game because at halftime he had 17 on 6 for 6 shooting. And I had to actually follow up and look if he was perfect from the game, which he was. And you are kind of right. They did go away from Aiton, and I might be a negative Nelly tonight during the Aiton watch, but
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, Bill, whoever has the hot hand, I guess, but I think they should go to Mikal Bridges more, try to run the offense around him because we all know what he can do on defense, but let his offense shine. The dude just got paid, so let his offense shine. Run more plays for him. Let him be more aggressive. Let him take those threes that he was doing. And I mean, he had like 10 of our first points or 10 of our first, whatever, 20 points or whatever. So shout
Mhm.
out to Mikal Bridges. I thought he was great tonight.
Yeah, he was fantastic. I just I can't get enough of him and what he does. And sometimes it's up to him. It's kind of like Aiton in a way. Aiton, it's kind of up to him if he wants to get in position. I'll do the drop in a little bit for Aiden watch. But if he wants to get in position and he wants to like make himself notice on offense, then he can get the ball more. Mikal, almost the same thing, but I loved it before in the season when they would run point Mikal kind of up top. They don't do that anymore. So he has to kind of create on his own. And the only other time really in this game when he was getting it together on offense and where they were giving him the ball more, it was when Cam Johnson was in the game. And my dream is for this team to have him and Cam Johnson and Mikal starting. All right. And it's just something I always wanted. I think they feed off of each other very well. We talked about last pod about Cameron Johnson and how he's kind of a mix between a 4 and a 3. And a lot of defenses I noticed just don't know what to do with him because they leave him open. They kind of trail behind him on defense. He had 2 wide open runs to the rim. So I kind of think they forget about him in a way to where they don't pay too much attention to him, which makes sense because there's not a whole lot this year that he's done to where you really double team like a Frank Kaminsky. Frank was getting the double teams, but Cam Johnson, his game, him and Mikal, I don't know if you noticed it tonight. It seems like I'm seeing more and more of it where they're just playing off of each other when they're in the game together. Is that something you notice? And what do you think of Cam? Because tonight, Cam Johnson, pretty good game. 5 from 8 from the field, 3 for 5 from the 3-point beyond the arc, and then 13 points. Are you liking what you're seeing? I think I ask you this every time because it's just so up and down with him. But are you liking what he's seeing? And do you like anybody he's playing with on the court at the same time?
I'll just say this. Cam Johnson really needed this Cam Johnson game. I mean, he was rough to start the season. Just didn't seem like he was getting anything going. And again, I don't know if that was just the offense not running through him or maybe he wasn't doing that 1-2 punch with Mikal Bridges. And I think I would like to see that too, because we've seen Cam Johnson start, which, he's kind of been a roller coaster when he does start, but, it's still very early in the season. And we could maybe see Cam Johnson eventually inserted in the starting lineup. And I mean, any night that Cam Johnson and Mikal Bridges can get it going, and then we win the game and Booker has, Booker does Booker things and Chris Paul does Chris Paul things, that just adds to the depth of this team and how scary we can be when everyone has it going. And, Cam, I've said this on the pod before. I've said it on my channel before. Monty Williams once called Cam Johnson a starter in this league. But the guy's only in his 3rd year. Give him time. We're seeing kind of a different Cam Johnson this year, and maybe down the road it'll be a good thing. But like I said, anytime Mikal Bridges gets it going and Cam Johnson has a great night, it's probably a good night for the Suns.
Yeah, and I agree with Hey.0 too. We're kind of bouncing back and forth between Cam Johnson and Mikal Bridges right here, kind of like the way they play with each other tonight. Just on the court. But get Mikal the ball more. And it's Hey.0, shout out to you. Thank you for saying that because it is true. It's give him the ball more, but then the difficult task you have with Monty, and if he's even going to say anything, I know Booker's become more vocal, I guess, on the court in practice, trying to give Monty an idea what he wants to see. But Booker needs the shot attempts, and whenever he does struggle from the field, which he was 7 for 20 tonight, it's almost like I don't care as much because I know most of these games are going to be more efficient. So I like the field goal attempts from Booker, but then it's hard to say, like, when do we go away from your field goal attempts, and trying to get you in a groove from the game and try to get other guys involved because the game goes by so quick, and I think Bridges is slowly working his way into the offense to where he can be relied on. I know his 3 isn't going down every night, but shooting plus 40% from 3, this guy needs more opportunities. But I mean, I did miss what we do here on the podcast is a lot of drops, and I did miss this one.
Lights, Cameron, action.
So I'm sorry, John. Rest in peace wherever he is tonight. I apologize for that.
We're doing our best, John.
Yeah, we're doing our best. And shout out to the Jamsters tonight. In King Paw 242, nice assist by Mikal to Aiden at the end to seal the win. It's true. You see a lot tonight, and I wanted to bring it up between Mikal, Cam, and DeAndre Ayton, who they create like kind of like a triangle. It's not a triangle offense, but they feed off of each other well. And it's just little spurts. So it's little things I'm seeing from them where they're just playing so well together. And I like their energy they have, like the dynamic they have. It's like shut out the other two guys that are on offense and let's just work together because they're both very, very quick to respond to each other's play. It's a strange take, but it's a very small sample size though that I've seen tonight and over the last couple games, and I want to see more of it. But let's go ahead and
watch.
I mean, you want to go first on him?
Oh, man.
You were being a little bit negative, Nancy said. So what's the negative part, huh?
This is where Suns Geek, who normally keeps things very positive, it turns into a negative Nancy. I was not happy with DeAndre Ayton tonight. He did not seem like he was in the game at all. I saw Chris Paul talking to him early in the game, pointing to where he needed to be, and I heard someone keep saying, "Get up, DA, get up." For a rebound. And don't get me wrong, there were a few times, he had a nice rebound that really mattered, and a couple dunks here and there, but man, the guy just seems slow. And I don't know if it was Monty's decision to have him guard Dwight Powell most of the game, but Jay Crowder was on Kristaps Porzingis most of the game, and that's fine. I mean, Jay Crowder's a great defender and everything, but I'm like, dude, Ayton, you're 7'1". Like, what are you doing? So I just was not happy with Ayton. He looked slow. Sure, he had 17 rebounds, but he can do that in his sleep. And I get it. He's back from his second game. Maybe that injury is still low key bothering him, but yikes, he was kind of frustrating to watch tonight.
Yeah,
that's my Ayton rant.
Yeah, and I guess I could be frustrating too. Walter Lazo says Matt missing drops like DA missing lobs tonight, and that's true. I mean, we'll talk about
he missed lobs. He got the ball poked out of his hands tonight. Oh, it was rough.
It's either just experience or bad hands. There's something going on. But he so what I was thinking tonight was he was just slow to get into the mix. He was slow to really get in the mix early in the game. Of course, rebounds are up there. He plays solid defense towards the end of the game. We talk about that every podcast. Every game he's stepping up. But the thing that we noticed last game was Chris Paul was throwing up little lobs to him in the paint, and he was going up and grabbing them and coming down. Tonight, he was kind of asking for the same thing, but he was getting the mismatches on the little guys. But then what he does is he crams himself down into the little guys, pushes it too far back. You can't really throw a good entry pass right there. I think Ayton needs to know that he can start up a little bit, maybe further away from the basket. He does have a few moves. He has the mid-range shot.
Yep.
He can back a little guy down, take his time if he wants to, but I just think he's just and I hate to always say consistent and consistent, but there's just these games where Chris Paul has to get onto him early in the game, how to set a screen, you see that. So I mean, it's fine. I can deal with these games from him because the rebounds, the defense, it's all there. So that's really what we need. And he knows his role. So I'm very happy to see that. It's just offensively, just if he can get that from him every night to where he knows how to post these guys up and then know when to call from the lob in the paint, which is never really always the best thing because you always have the help defender coming over to tip it away. When you have that, man, it gets frustrating sometimes. And in
all fairness, I think you brought this up earlier in the pod. Maybe it was Mikal Bridges' hot start that kind of threw him off his game, in all fairness. And before Frank went out, Frank had a pretty decent stretch. JaVale McGee had a few good games here and there. And Ayton was good last game. So it's like, maybe he just was thrown off of his game. And really, we saw that third quarter. The whole team looked out of it. So maybe it was just one of those nights. I mean, if Ayton can get 17 boards on a bad night, then I guess that's a good thing. But man, he was rough to watch.
Yeah, it was. And then Walter Lazo again, another shout out. McGee over Ayton tonight.
He was great tonight.
Oh my gosh. I mean, we were talking about before the pod how the bench did fantastic. They really came out and helped the Suns in crucial situations. We'll talk about in a little bit. I want to talk about like Monty and the way he puts the bench in too early, too late in the end of these games. It always comes down to like 4 or 6 points. But McGee, man, tonight, what was his stats? Okay, so 7 for 10, 14 points. He had the 2 or actually 0 blocks. Oh my gosh.
That's surprising because he's usually good for a block. It's crazy that he doesn't lead the league in blocks. I'm not even joking.
Oh, you know what?
No, I don't know if he got a block. Yeah.
No, 6 rebounds. But it's just the energy he has. It's the energy that the Suns always need when the bench is in. And it's usually when Chris Paul's in the third quarter playing with the bench guys, McGee will play at his best. He's Oh, you know what? And I actually wrote it down too. So I was looking up dunks because I was just thinking about how McGee has so many dunks for the Suns. And he has 23 dunks in 231 minutes before this game, which is 17th in the league. Of course, it leads the team.
Mhm.
And I know Aiden missed some time, but he has 15 dunks in 243 minutes. Did I say
Wow.
wait? Okay, let me re-say that again. Wait, just let me say that one more time. Sorry. McGee had 23 dunks in 231 minutes. Aiden has 15 dunks prior to this game in 243 minutes. But McGee, I know Aiden's not a dunker, and I don't care. I know he's gentle around the rim. That's
Yep.
fine. But McGee, I knew that he has so many, so I had to look it up. And the energy he brings and the goofiness he has that he hones in, because what he does, he had a little mid-range today where it looked pretty nasty, right? His mid-range was pretty nasty. It went in nothing but net. But then you look over at Booker and you look over at Chris Paul sitting on the bench and like doing the little claps and looking at each other like oh, what was that? Like he hones that in. He loves that. I think that he is kind of a goofy guy, and he carries himself like as a professional on the court, but he always has those plays that are just hilarious, and it goes in it. It's always for the betterment of the team, and he's just nonstop hustle. And again tonight, it's just nonstop hustle and the energy he brought back to the team. So yeah, McGee, right?
Yeah, he was great, man. I mean, you could make the argument we may not win this game if it wasn't for McGee. I mean, sure, he had 14-6 or whatever, but that was an important 14-6. And sure, he didn't get a block shot tonight, but his hands were up every time trying to block that shot. And that's exactly why we signed JaVale McGee, man. He was great tonight, and we need this. And especially with Frank being out and with Ayton, we don't know what we're going to get with him every night. That's exactly why we need JaVale McGee. I thought he was really good tonight.
And sticking with the bench, Cameron Payne, he looked pretty good. I was gonna ask if you
looked pissed.
I was gonna ask you, I was gonna ask you a few questions. 3 for 7 tonight, 10 points, 4 rebounds, 2 assists. So the first question is him and Frankie Smokes, Frankie Ntilikina, but they call him Frankie Smokes back in New York. He was shout out to Sarich Smoke Break. But he was him and Campaign in the first quarter were going at it, right? I mean, they kind of had these little yells against each other and yells at each other. Sorry. And I was gonna ask you, like, if you're an opposing fan and you're watching Cameron Payne and he's yelling like that, he's throwing up his shoulders and showing how tough he is and screaming all the time. Do you see that as like, and don't hate me, Suns fans, do you see that like as a fake toughness, a weird something that just doesn't rub you the right way? Would that annoy you if you put yourself in the other opposing fans' shoes?
I look at it like both sides. There's two sides to every story, two different streets, Yeah. I don't know, because maybe, this was a national TV game tonight. Probably a lot of people are looking at Campaign like, dude, what are you doing? Why are you screaming? But you never know what these guys are saying to each other on the court. It could have been a lot of that. Maybe there's some like quiet beef that we didn't know about between those two. But at least Campaign was bringing the energy there. He had a couple of those screams and maybe it hyped the team up. But I can kind of see how it might look bad if I was not a fan of the Suns. I totally get your point there, but bring that energy, Campaign. You got paid and you're having you had a great season last year and you're trying to follow that up with another great season. So we need those screams. We need that energy. And, I thought he played pretty well tonight, and he kind of another guy that maybe needs to get going. I remember he had like a 24-point game recently, but I don't really know what he's done beyond that. And I'm cheering for Campaign. He's got a great story, especially ever since he came to the Suns. So
yeah, definitely. And another guy that has a good story is oh my God!
Let's go.
What's going on? Before the podcast, I was going to say, or to you, Suns Geek, and to the Jamsters, that we might have a surprise appearance from John himself. John, just really quick, I told everyone before that I caught you in the bed with the lady of the night, and that's why we're just not talking at the moment. So
what? No, I've been traveling. I literally flew in from Reno. The plane landed, and then the fourth quarter happened. And I'll tell you, what a hell of a fourth quarter that was. I picked it up at the exact right time. I mean, they came out, I think it was 31-11 at one point before my
Yeah.
wife picked me up from the airport. So, real quick, shout out to Suns Geek, man. Thank you for helping us out. I've been traveling like a son of a bitch all over the West Coast and East Coast, and knowing that you can come in and help us out has been really big. And an owl just flew by my house. What the fuck
Whoa.
was that?
Let's get a look at those lights,
This
John.
ghost house.
Yeah,
Man,
these
this
are-
is a show
showing
out
those
here.
off.
Yeah, look at it. This is my Christmas lights I put up last weekend when I was home. I'm like, I gotta get the
Beautiful.
Christmas lights in. So
Proud of you, man.
so
So
thanks.
how much did you see of the game? You said.
I saw the
Not
fourth
very-
quarter.
Oh, okay.
That's all that matters.
That's
Yeah,
all that
I mean,
really
it was-
yeah, we were talking about how basically the first 3 quarters they just sleepwalked through it, and then the
Mhm.
fourth quarter they actually
Cruise
started earlier in
control.
this game where they took over. Chris Paul did, and they just 8-minute mark probably. Then they're like, all right, this thing's over. So
So I got a question for you guys. Do you think it's dangerous that the Suns kind of allow themselves to toy with the competition for 3 quarters and then try to turn it on? Because there's going to be nights where they just won't be able to turn it on, right?
I don't
It's
know.
it's annoying in my opinion, and maybe I'm a negative Nancy again when it comes to that. I don't like that, like especially at the start of the season. Finals hangover, whatever you call it. But I was like, this team needs to be more consistent, and you could make the argument we haven't really seen a full 48 minutes of Suns basketball, maybe like in a couple of games, but yeah, they were kind of on cruise control tonight, and they stepped it up when it mattered.
Yeah, I'm not worried about it right now, honestly, because like last game, John, when you asked me my thoughts about being worried when the fourth quarter started, are we going to lose this game or not? Like, same thing. I was just like, no, the Suns are going to take this over because the Mavs, again, had a chance in the third quarter to go on a run, and they kept missing everything, even like layups, even like little 11-footers. It was just clanking them. So I was like, this is a Suns game again. Mavs had their chance. And I think it's more of that. I think it's more of just, is the other team going to take advantage of when the Suns are down to go up 15 points, to go up 17 points, but they don't. I mean, as of right now, they're not. So I'm not too worried as of right now.
Yeah, I think, again, obviously I didn't see the first 3, but I think that with the experience level of this team, they're going to win in a lot of different ways. And this is just an example over the past couple games of a way that they are going to win. I don't think it's going to be a consistent, thing where they're constantly allowing teams to just stick around and then they try to, ramp it up. I think that's just how these games played out. But it was something that I definitely noticed. So I just wanted to bring that up. I just literally got home, so I'm going to go unpack. Again, Jamsters, great game. Was it 11 in a row for the Phoenix Suns? So
Yes,
Matthew, that's a new record, right?
I was going to say, I was waiting until it got to 12 so I can be like, oh, it's a franchise record. 12 wins in a row. We'll just keep going with that, man.
Well,
safe
and
travels,
again,
John. Safe
thank you.
travels, man.
And Brandon, thank you so much. And listen,
of course, man.
to all the Jamsters who are watching, if it has to do with the Phoenix Suns, he's going to make a video about it. So make sure you check out Suns Geek on YouTube, some of the best content out there. So again, appreciate you helping out, and go Suns. We'll see you guys on, I'll see you guys. I'll let you guys finish the show. But I'll see you guys on Sunday night. So
Appreciate
John.
you, John. Safe travels, man.
See you later. Man, good to see that guy.
Very kind, John.
He rolls in whatever he wants, right? He's just
hey, beautiful
one game this
scenery
year.
at his house with those lights, and
just trying to show off a little bit.
He's trying to celebrate the 11. He's trying to celebrate the 11 wins too, man.
Yeah, and I just went black for 1 second. I don't know what just happened there.
Kind of laggy,
okay.
but you're good.
So back to the show. That was a great interruption by our guest John. I think that what was I going to say? So we're talking about Frank Kaminsky, and I don't know why. I wanted to throw it out there. I mean, he's of course out with a knee soreness, but I mean, his minutes he was playing was very, very small. I mean, very limited because of McGee's play is just through the roof, of course. So between the two, it's like you have to choose usually McGee because he's longer. He can
more experience.
It's actually but as I'm going through it, I'm like, I don't know. So I mean, we do miss Frank a little bit. I don't think he has anything to do with the slower performances maybe in the first half, or do you think it does? Do you think that we need that extra burst like we get from McGee and we get it from Frank? Do you think we need that?
I keep going to this cop-out answer, but I'm serious. Like, that just shows the depth of this team, because when Frank had that career night, like, it was just because we didn't have Ayton, and I don't know if JaVale McGee got it going that game, and it's not like Dario's here, so it's, we need it. And if JaVale McGee and Frank Kaminsky have to help us win games, then I'm fine with it. especially if Ayton is, God forbid, injured or just doesn't have it going. I'm all for it. If that answers your question.
No, it totally does. And there's just one more question I have, really, and we can probably just recap on what the Mavs did, how they were looking tonight, and I don't know. It's kind of like the same kind of game, right? Yeah. Just one more thought on the Suns and Monty Williams and how just towards the end of the game, pulling the starters and then putting the bench in. I feel like it must be the toughest thing for Monty. And I think this is the one thing he gets haggled on so much. It's just him having a hard time either pulling them out too early, pulling them out, and then leaving actually not pulling them out, the starters, and then leaving them in too much or too long. So is that something that, I don't know, can you even figure that out as a coach, is when to pull these guys? Because honestly, I think that's the toughest part of the job right now for Monty.
That's a really great question. And we obviously know Monty's got years of experience, should have been coach of the year last year. Maybe this is a good problem to have, but at the same time, I feel like Monty kind of has a rep for this, and I don't know if that's a good or a bad thing. His rotations and bringing guys in either too early or too late. It's tricky, man. And Monty, I don't want to say he favors people, but like with Abdel Nader, for example, like maybe he trusts his team too much, which that's not a bad thing. I mean, let's be real. No. Like, we couldn't trust anybody 3 or 4 years ago. So, but besides Booker, that is, but, my point being is maybe this is a good problem to have, but it's something we've all noticed. And I don't know if it's a red flag. We'll have to see, but maybe there's just a little too much trust there.
I think so too. Actually, Metal Mike says right here, shouldn't have subbed every single dude. Yeah, that was kind of shocking when every single guy came out, because I don't think I've really seen that. Especially, it's a 13-point game, and I was just like,
no lead is safe.
I didn't really notice it. Of course, getting set up for the pod, and I'm like, wait, why Sticks is in and 6 points? I'm like, oh, here we go. But then that's just me being behind the times. I'm just like, oh, maybe it was a perfect time to pull these guys, and I just kind of missed it. But all right, yeah. So Icon Dip Perfume, I never pulled out early, so we'll just leave that one there. thanks for joining the pod, everybody. Again, go ahead and hit the like button. Make sure to subscribe, leave a 5-star review on Apple.
Smash the like button.
Yes, and you can also visit the Suns Geek on YouTube,
yes sir,
Twitter just everywhere. And you have any thoughts on the Mavericks? The only thing I have really tonight is the way that they were kind of playing Porzingis in the beginning. It seemed like they were trying to get him more in like a pick and roll kind of thing. But then it just went back to settling for the threes. I know Brunson is very hard to control. Mikal does a good job on him. Hardaway Jr. just went through that spurt in the third where he carried the team and defensively and offensively. But those are like the three things I noticed. And Porzingis, I feel like those threes, I mean, I think he just lives and dies by the three. And that's one thing you just have to put up with if you're a Mavs fan. I mean, 3 for 6 tonight, it's not bad. I know he struggled last game, 23 points for him. But did you notice anything different from Porzingis tonight? Same kind of game. Anything different tonight from the Mavs as a whole, or same kind of game again?
Kind of the same kind of game, because like I said, at halftime, this honestly felt like an even match. I mean, I'm looking at the halftime numbers. Both teams were shooting over 40%. The Suns were shooting 46%. Mavs had 5 threes, Suns had 7 threes, etc. The numbers were pretty similar. Lots of lead changes in this game, fast pace, bunch of scoring. But I will say this. I did a little pre-game video a couple days ago for the Suns and Mavericks, and I actually didn't know this until I made that video. When Kristaps Porzingis has like 25 and 10, the Mavericks win a lot of games. And Jalen Brunson, I knew he was pretty good, but man, he is underrated. He might even be overlooked. Every time I saw Jalen Brunson tonight, he was getting to the rim. And I think last game he had almost a triple-double against us. And then tonight he had 18 and 10. So the dude is underrated, and he's probably thriving in these with Luka being out and everything. And, he was a late pick, if I remember correctly, and, went to Villanova with Mikal Bridges and all that. And, man, that dude is a stud. So hopefully when Luka comes back, he gets more minutes for them. But in terms of really just their team all around, I think last game they didn't really have too much bench production, and Kristaps Porzingis did all that he could, and that was really all I saw. So,
and again with the professional and adult comment this time by Icon Perfume, Parfum. I think I'm saying that right. Yeah, I'll just say it that way. Their entire team is more engaged with Luka isn't playing. So that's the thing is like when the star player is out, these guys get more engaged. They have because these are professional ball. They want the ball. They want the opportunity. All right. So if Luka's taking that away from them, of course they want to make sure. And they're not going to be anybody really without Luka. Luka is one of the top 10 best players right now in the NBA, even though he's kind of fat and out of shape, and they're trying to work things in again. But Luka, hate on zero because Luka is a ball hog. And then Brunson's a beast. Said by
I hate
Metal
to
Mike.
admit this, but like I kind of wish Luka would have played at least one of these games because I really wish we would have been able to beat them with Luka. But then again, as I said, Kristaps Porzingis, he's actually been playing pretty great lately. Like you look at his numbers the last few games, he's been playing good. So it's not like they had like no good players out there. I mean, they were in both of these games. So shout out to the Mavericks.
Yeah, but it's just Porzingis is just so fragile. I feel like the 2 games we played against him, it's like he's easy to really just take the ball away and just to block his shot. To just, if you're just standing in his way, he'll just throw up an ugly shot. So there's a lot to his game that, of course, has not improved at all.
And I don't know if him and Luka mesh well either.
No, I've always thought they don't. So, and you don't either. I mean, even from the time they signed him, I was jealous because I wanted the Suns to get him because I wanted somebody. Me too, actually. Yeah. So, of course, you want this is pre-8 this is before all that. So, of course, you want some guy like that. Maybe he has potential. But next segment.
Thoughts. Brains.
All right. So, we talk about this a few times. I mean, the reffing, I don't know if I brought this up with you before. The reffing is so much better right now. I think the more physical the Suns team is, the better like the reffing is because they just ignore a lot of calls. I think right now the games are flowing by so fast. So I want to get your thoughts on that. And I don't think it's ugly basketball to where these guys are it's lower scoring right now. I think they're kind of getting adjusted. So the scoring is down. But it's still not as ugly as going to the free throw line every time, right? If going to the free throw line, it seemed like every other play last year. So what do you prefer, the free throws or no free throws?
God, I feel like we could have a whole podcast on this one topic because I just like to say this. For most games, and don't get me wrong, there's a bad call every once in a while, but for most games, there's no more ticky-tack fouls. You know what I mean? For the most part. Yeah. And don't get me wrong, there are a few moments in this game the officiating was pretty poor, but these guys have the hardest job in the world. And I think it's great. Last time I checked, I think 3-point percentages are down and like free throw percentages are down for the NBA, but that's probably a good thing, man. And star players are struggling kind of. And I think this is how basketball used to be played. And I like it. And yeah, you're right. Players aren't going to the free throw line every 2 seconds and ticky-tack fouls aren't being called. And you can actually make contact like basketball is. And good job, referees. Good job, Adam Silver and Mark Tatum and company, whoever decided to change the rules and all that. Good job.
Yeah, no, I'm very impressed about this season because the NFL is always trying to figure out, and they still don't know. I mean, it's better this year maybe, but they still don't know what a catch is and all that stuff. So I think the NBA is really finding things out where they listen to the fans. They listen to what is, anytime they listen to the broadcast. We had Jeff Van Gundy 2 games in a row. Did not complain, I don't think, about the refs once. If you watch the ESPN broadcast, that's all he used to do is complain. I think he did maybe a couple times, but it used to be just the whole broadcast complaining about the refs. So you're not getting that a lot, which is pretty freaking awesome. And one more thought, and just one more question for you. I assume I might have John the next 3 games before Thanksgiving, but if not, I gotta ask you, Brandon, your favorite Thanksgiving food and the one that you hate the most that might upset the Jamsters tonight.
Oh man, I gotta be spur of the moment question. Probably turkey and stuffing, man. But I've always been a mashed potatoes guy, especially garlic mashed potatoes. A little bit of gravy on there. But the worst Thanksgiving food, my mom would probably be mad at me for saying this, green bean casserole. She makes that every year. And
really?
I like it.
Oh, well, I'm sure.
Off the top of my head.
I'm sure John and I will be talking about food the next 3 games before Thanksgiving. I like everything. So I don't think there's one thing I hate.
Yeah, I mean, I try to eat everything on my plate, but there's some stuff I won't.
Okay. All right, and it usually hurts their feelings, but who cares?
Jam Star of the Game.
All right, like John put in the comments, go ahead and hit that like button.
Smash the
Subscribe
like
to the
button.
podcast. And we're going to go ahead and give away our Jam Star of the Game award. Suns Geek, who you got?
First off, honorable mention. Chris Paul had 18 and 14 tonight. We didn't even really talk about him much. Well, I mean, kind of did, but not too much. So honorable mention, Chris Paul. But my award winner is going to be Mikal Bridges. Sure, he didn't really have it. They didn't really go to him much in the second half, but 19 points on 7 for 7 shooting. We all know what he does defensively. That's my Jam Star of the game.
Yeah, this one's tough. I mean, Mikal just was perfect, but when he has CP3, just the steals he had in the fourth again, just the mid-range, the 3-point shots.
Got it going when it mattered.
It's just effortless. I'm gonna give it to CP3. Just for that, because you just notice him towards the end of the game in the clutch situations. I know Mikal started off, I mean, he was perfect tonight, and it's hard not to give it to him. But CP3, he stands out so much towards the end of the game where it sticks in my mind to where, I can't remember anything more than 10 minutes. So the last thing I saw was just CP3 taking over. So I'm going to give it to him. Let's go and see what the Jam Stars say. Icon de Perfume, Mikal, Metal Mike, CP3, Sonia, Lovato, the Warden. Yeah, so I don't know. Is this and then here we go right here. So Fabio Miyazaki. I'm always so just lost for words around this time of the pod. It's because there's so many great players. So I'm sorry if I pronounce all your guys' names wrong. I'm very bad at that. So
this was just one of those nights. This is just one of those nights where a lot of players deserved a Jamster, award or, at least an honorable mention. So this was a good night. No,
yeah, it was. And JaVale and I was going to give it to him before the Chris Paul takeover in the fourth. I was going to give it to him just for the fact that, the energy just him, the mid-range, and then everyone just laughing about it. Because I don't know. He makes me happy. But Coach JJM, hey, gives it to my guy, Cam Johnson. Yeah, let's do this one. There you go. Cam Johnson for the Jam Star. And it's true. He had a very, very good game tonight. Defense is still, like I said, don't know how to cover this guy. So I don't know. Oh, yeah. Sony says, yeah, thanks, Lizzie. Voida gets my name right. Okay, yeah. I apologize. So Voida knows how to talk. I don't know how to talk.
Somebody who makes videos and live streams, I try not to butcher names either. I try my best.
We do what we can. It's the simplest name ever, and I go over it terribly. So
you can bet on it, bet on it, bet on it, bet on it.
All right, Jamsters, we bet $1 a game on the prop. You tell us what to bet. We discuss it on the podcast. And today's bet, DeAndre Ayton rebounds. Over 11.5 or under 11.5. We got a total of 22,000 votes.
Wow.
And we got... Actually, I'll never release, because last pod I brought up the amount of people voting, and I'm not going to do it again. So tonight, it was over 11.5, obviously. What did he have? It was 15 rebounds, right? 17, my bad. Yeah. 15 defensive rebounds. So I was close there. But 72.7% said over, 27.3 under. So we win $1 there. I think we're gaining it. It might be $2 that we're down right now for the whole season, which isn't bad. But yeah, I mean, DeAndre Ayton, of course, if he's rebounding the ball like that, playing the defense in the end, we can't really complain. But the whole game, I guess we can have negative Nancy over here, right? Just shed some tears a little bit over it. But yeah, so the next game we have coming up for the Suns, it's going to be it's going to be against the Nuggets. Now we played them first game this year, and first game, of course, doesn't matter, but we lost the game. And it seems like after that shove that Jokic pulled against the Morris twin, which was actually fantastic. I love it because Morris initiated it, and then the response from Jokic, I think it was well deserved. But ever since then, this team has kind of they lost 2 games in a row, but the way Jokic is actually playing right now is just MVP caliber again. MPJ is Michael Porter Jr. He's out again. Who knows when he's going to come back? The back injury is just killing him. This guy is really great. Aaron Gordon is kind of, he's improved. I was on the SB Nation site for the Denver Nuggets. I forget the name. I think the Denver Stiffs. And they were talking about Aaron Gordon just kind of, reviving his career and just having, I think because JPM is out. or I'm sorry, Michael Porter Jr. is out, it gives him more of a balanced offense within the Nuggets. The play he
System.
has,
Yeah.
yeah. I think that he needed that, but he can also be like a 6-man if you want him to be. But he can be a guy that can step up. It's not going to be anything crazy. But have you seen anything from the Nuggets this year? Do you have anything? Because a lot of times we do the previews, I'm kind of just like, I don't know. I haven't really watched this team too much. Have you seen anything from the Nuggets? Anything that you can prepare us for going into this game?
You know, I haven't really watched too many Nuggets games, but again, anytime you got Nikola Jokic, who is playing at an MVP level, and the dude is, you know, basically unstoppable, you have a good chance to win. And, you know, that first game of the season, although we didn't really look right in that game, it's going to be tough. And if I'm correct, I think Will Barton's been playing pretty good for them too. And if you got Aaron Gordon in a possible 6-man role or starting and putting up good numbers while MPJ is out, then that's good. I mean, I've always liked Aaron Gordon. I wouldn't have minded him coming to the Suns at any point. And good for him if he's playing well. And they're going to be a tough game. It's going to be a tough game to beat, especially in Denver, you know, with the altitude and everything. And
yes.
You know, it's going to be a challenge, but I think the Suns have the momentum. Maybe lucky number 12 is in the Suns' future, you know?
Yeah, I hope so. I hope we keep this going. I don't know if I can deal with the loss. I don't know at this time in my life. I don't know if I can go through it. I like the winning. I like doing these pods on a good note with a big smile on my face. But yeah, I mean, so you're choosing a Suns win. I am too.
Yeah.
So John, we're all three of us, the Holy Trinity right here. We're going to choose a Suns win over the Nuggets. I think it's hard to go against them. You want the win streak to keep going. I don't know. I think that might be it for the pod. I mean, do you have anything else, Brandon, that you want to go over? Suns related, Mavs related, Nuggets related, or even just NBA related? Or we do have a new segment really quick.
Okay.
It is the child. It is the I forget the whole name. I think it's just the
childhood trauma. I think I saw
childhood
a tweet
trauma.
about it.
There you go. Yeah. Okay. Childhood trauma. Jeez, I forgot. So it's a new segment. I mean, John has plenty of stories. I'm gonna try to match him. I might make some up. Who knows? But and even that, do you have a traumatic experience you want to share with the Jamsters tonight, or do you have anything else you want to go over before we end this pod?
Oh man, I feel like we could have a whole podcast on childhood traumas. I mean,
that's why we got it. It's a segment.
I used to be terrified of certain horror movies and certain horror icons that still terrify me till this day. And and for some reason, when you were talking about this segment, I started when I was young. I played soccer, and then I remember I scored the wrong goal, or the goal for the wrong team. And that was the end of my soccer career. And for some reason, when we talk about childhood trauma, I had a flashback to that. So I think that's kind of traumatic, because then I started playing basketball after that. But yeah, so hopefully that's my little story. But after our childhood trauma thing, I do kind of want to go over the Suns' upcoming schedule. So what about you?
Okay. I might save a story. I just kind of want to throw you out there and leave you alone. Just hang you out to dry there.
That's
no,
all right.
I'm just kidding. No, I'll go with a little story. I'm sure John is in the middle of making a drop for it.
Yeah.
So the next time he comes on the pod, we'll do that. But I'll just tip my toes in just a little bit. And it was my earliest remembrance of going to a McDonald's, and I went into the ladies' room, and there was teenage girls there. I think I was like 6 or 7. Yeah, 6 or 7. I went in there, and they just started laughing at me, and I started crying. I went back, and they sat right next to me, and they were like looking over and laughing at me, and I was
that's
just
when it's
embarrassed.
worse, is when
and
they
we left.
keep it.
Yeah, we just left. We left. I mean, I get what I want in
And
life.
you never went back to McDonald's again.
No. Just the drive-through. Never went in again. Just the drive-through. But that's just a little bit of a taste of what we're going to be bringing to the pod. Not bringing back, bringing to the pod.
I like it.
Childhood trauma is a little segment to have some fun with. But that, and what else did you want to go over?
Yeah, just real quick. I don't have the full schedule in front of me, but this was actually in some of my notes. We obviously talked about the Nuggets game, which is going to be a tough game, but we have a tough schedule coming up. And I'm not saying we're on this winning streak because we've had, quote, an easy schedule, because we both know that's not true. But we got the Cavaliers on the 24th. And I've been, for some reason, on my live streams and on this podcast, I've been going on Cavaliers rants. And then we have the Knicks and the Nets back to back on the 26th and 27th. Then we close out November versus the Warriors, who are like the second best team in the NBA besides the Suns right now. And then we play them on December 3rd. So tough schedule, man. I'm excited. This is going to be a great test for the Suns. It's going to be fun, man. That was really all I wanted to talk about to end the pod. But yeah, I mean, the Cavs are playing good. And shout out to Colin Sexton, too. He is out for the rest of the season with, I forgot what injury, but tough blow. And then Evan Mobley's out for 4 to 6 weeks. So
wait, who's going to be taking Colin Sexton's spot?
Probably Ricky Rubio. Let's go.
Limpieza profunda e higiene. Confía en HS para un pelo 100% libre de caspa. Clínicamente probado. HS, shampoo número 1 en España.
Ricky Rubio.
As soon as I saw you tweet about him, like, yeah, he's gonna bring it up. For some reason, every time you're on the pod, you bring up Ricky Rubio, and please do every time. We need to be remembered of the guy that used to be our point guard. But now we have the point guard, but this guy was maybe a Prince or something. I think Ricky Rubio can go for a Prince. I don't know what I'm talking about right now. So I think it's about time to end the pod. Go ahead, Suns Geek. Brandon, let everyone know where to find you. I'm sure they already know, but go ahead and just repeat yourself.
Yeah, I mean, if you guys do not know who I am, my name is Brandon, aka Suns Geek, and if it has to deal with the Phoenix Suns, I'm going to make a video about it. You know, I've been trying to do more post-game live streams on my channel and just trying to be consistent with the content, and take my word for it. I mean, I was uploading videos when I was sick last week, so I'm doing my best. So subscribe on Suns Geek on YouTube, follow me on Twitter and Instagram, just search Suns Geek and you will find me. Yeah,
and make sure, again, hit the like button. I hate to tell you guys so much and be so bossy, but go ahead and subscribe, hit the like button. We're almost at 2,000 subscribers.
Let's go.
So we'll get there hopefully in a couple weeks. Where are you at right now with subscribers? You're pretty up, right?
Not that I've been looking at the numbers or anything, but I'm actually pretty excited. I'm almost at 5,000, and that's a milestone.
That's what I thought.
For me. That's it's like when you guys hit your first 1,000, like that's kind of a milestone. It's a big deal, and I'm low key excited.
It is. You start making $10 a month, and it's pretty exciting.
Seriously.
So everyone go out and just have a good time tonight. Party this one up. It's already 11:30, but I guess go home and love your family.